Hi Tim, I'm so sorry about that. So would you believe it? My internet just went offline and came straight back online. So yeah, that's great. I haven't had an internet outage for months. And then 5 minutes after putting a live stream on, off goes the internet. So sorry about that. These things will happen when during live TV. It's always the way, isn't it? Okay, so I'm just going to do a couple of things uh, to make sure that that won't happen again, hopefully. Okay, so I think we're okay now. Does it sound okay, Tim? Can you hear me and see me okay? Okay, great. Sorry about that. Right, let's get on and hopefully we'll have no more technical issues. Okay, so uh, Felix, I don't know how much you saw of what I was saying, but happy birthday. Um, and I was talking about the fact that all of these components are fully upgradable. So everything that you have here, unlike perhaps a lot of the like work PCs, like the one you used to have, so maybe it was a Dell, HP, or Lenovo, they use what's called proprietary components. These are components that you have to buy from Dell, HP, or Lenovo, and sometimes it means it's very difficult to upgrade. But everything we have for you here is off the shelf. You can buy it at any computer store or online shop, and everything is fully upgradable. So if you wanted to upgrade your motherboard and your CPU, sorry, your motherboard and your CPU or your graphics card, you can do anything at all. Right, everything is looking great. So before the technical gremlins come back, let's get started, shall we? So first step is we need to put, well, actually, first step, let's just talk a little bit about the components we've got here, okay? So the motherboard here is our Gigabyte B760M, which is just a good, solid, entry-level gaming motherboard. We've got Wi-Fi on here, a couple of spots for M.2 storage drives. It's just a really good, solid motherboard. For our CPU, we've got the Intel 12400, which is a 6-core processor. Really good processor, very strong clocks, so it's going to be fantastic for your esports games. So things like Fortnite and Valorant and you know, games that are, so these types of games, they're called esports titles. They generally need high clock speeds, and you don't really need too much in the way of multiple cores. So 6 cores is just fine. And you also then need, you know, a reasonable graphics card, and this is what we've got here. Actually, as far as graphics cards go, this might be sort of medium entry level, but it's great value. You get great bang for your buck here with 8 GB of RAM, and this is going to be future proof for a good long time. We've got our CPU cooler here, which is just going to help keep our the temperatures down from using the, instead of using the cooler that comes with the Intel 12400. And down here somewhere we've got some RAM, which is 32 GB, and we've got a 1 TB SSD. And this is our power supply, which I think is 650 watts. Yes, 650 watts. Okay. So with that, let's get going. Felix and Tim, if you guys want to ask any questions along the way, please do. I really want to have a fun time doing this. I want you to have a fun time doing this. I'm happy to answer any questions. Let's have a chat about whatever you like, really. Hopefully I'll ask some questions as well. Yeah, hopefully this will be a fun experience for everyone. So let's just clear some space here. Some of these things I don't need right now. So I need just a couple of things. I do need a screwdriver for sure. Okay, and graphics card we don't need, but let's just put it to the side. Right, so first things first, we're going to take a look at our motherboard. Let's just, let's do this. Okay, Felix isn't able to chat at the moment, but we're trying something so he can. Oh, great, that'd be fantastic. Right, so motherboard, we've got all of our bits in there. We don't need that at the moment, and what we're going to do is just build the beginnings of our PC on top of this box here. And the reason we do that typically is to make sure that we don't have any kind of static issues, or we don't touch anything, just in case there might be some metal on the desk. I mean, there isn't, but you know, it's a just in case thing. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit on our overhead cam, I think. Here we go. All right. Now we're a bit far away. How's that? Yeah, that looks okay, doesn't it? All right. This is good. We have no drop frames. The stream looks healthy and no technical gremlins just yet. So, first thing to do is let's get our CPU into our motherboard. And this is a nice, easy first step, but it's also the one that you have to be the most careful with, because underneath this little plastic cover there is our socket, and the socket is has lots and lots of little pins, hundreds of little pins, and the pins are what connect the PC to the motherboard. Now, if you bend those or break them, it's pretty bad news. So we need to be a bit careful while doing that. Andrew, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate that. Andrew is a friend of mine, and he watches all of our builds, or at least the first 5 minutes of them. No, just kidding, Andrew. I appreciate you watching, tuning in. This is the third one we've done in about a week. You're probably getting a little bit bored of watching me build PCs, but hopefully not. I mean, I'm not getting bored of building them. So, right, this is our CPU, and I'll give you a little show here on here. But you can see this is all the electronics on the back of the CPU, and we just want to open up the socket here. What we're doing is there's a little, you can see it here, you might be able to see it there, there's a little, there's a little arrow, and we want to line that arrow up with the arrow on our CPU. So I'll just turn it around slightly so we can do that, and this just drops very carefully, no pressure, but just try not to drop it too high, and it just should slot in place. And now, when we open this, close this back up, put the clasp over the hook there, and in we go. And we've got our CPU in. Keep this handy, because if you ever need to send back your motherboard for whatever reason, then this is the thing that protects the motherboard socket. So we always try and keep that handy. Okay, next, RAM and SSD. These are our RAM slots right here. We've got 4 RAM slots, but typically at the moment, anyway, with the current generation, we only really want to populate 2 of them, because the memory controllers kind of run really fast and fast speeds, and you know, at kind of max level, and if you put 4 sticks of RAM in, it typically means you have to slow down your speed. So we've got 3200 megahertz here for our 2 sticks, but if we put 4 sticks in, we might have to drop that down to 2666 or 3000 maybe. You don't really know until you try. The thing is with RAM, they test them, so the RAM kit is tested to run at this one at 3200. But it's actually not even, it's not a guarantee. You might find that even though it's tested to run at those speeds, it might not even do that. So depends on a lot of things. And what we want to do is we want to install this in the two slots that are the two starting from the fourth one, or the one furthest away, and then the one second furthest away. And we just line up the RAM here, and looking for a couple of clicks. A lot of noise from the box, but there is a couple of clicks there, and you just push it with a bit of strength. All the way around, easily done. There we go, couple of clicks. So both in, nice and easy. Now we want to take a look at our SSD. Okay, let's just throw away all the junk we don't need. And this is our SSD, which is a 1 terabyte M.2 NVMe SSD from Kingston. We use these all the time. They're really good, really well priced, and it means that you can get a good fast drive, which is great for running your operating system and any of your games without breaking the bank, which is, for an entry-level PC, is what we're looking for, right? Let's try a different bit here. And as I said, we've got a couple of SSD M.2 sockets on here. So this one is the one we want to use. This is the main one because we've got a heat shield for it. So the heat shield just takes any heat off of our SSD. If we're working it really hard, it uses the heat sink to take the heat off it so that the SSD can run at its full speeds. So we just want to get this in here, like so, and then always make sure that we peel that off. We don't want a little bit of plastic there because that will mean that there is no heatsink working at all. So, Tim and Felix, have you managed to get your Felix logged in on a different account so he can talk as well? If you can hear Felix, I'm interested to know what games you're playing, which games you enjoy. Do you have games that you enjoy playing already? Are there some games that you want to try when using a newer, better PC? Yeah, tell me about the games you play, what you're excited to play. I would really love to hear it. Okay, so that's our SSD in, and we've got a second SSD slot here as well, which is good. So Tim and Felix, if you later decide that 1 terabyte isn't quite enough, you can buy yourself another 1 terabyte drive or 2 terabyte drive and put it into this second slot just here. And 2 terabytes, 3, whatever you go for, you can put a whole extra drive in there. Plus, of course, you can use SATA SSDs as well, which plug into the SATA ports just here. But usually, at the moment, I would say 1 terabyte is fine, unless you're installing lots of big AAA games, so things like Call of Duty and games of like Alan Wake 2 and things of that nature. Well, they'll be like, I don't know, 200-300 gigabytes each game, which is a heck of a lot. So they will start to fill the drive quite quickly. So yeah, depends on the type of games, but just keep an eye on the drive and always make sure you've got a little bit of space on your drive as well, because the last 10% or so gets used as what's called a swap file, like a cache for your drive. Yeah, when you get towards the end, it's always best to either take something off it or to get a new one. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at installing our cooler. This is the Deepcool AG400, nice solid entry-level tower cooler which is a lot better than the standard cooler that you get with the Intel chip. And basically, the way that CPUs work today, and I've worked this way for quite some time now, is that they kind of use, I don't know the exact term, but they're thermally limited. So essentially, the more cooling you can give your CPU, the faster it will run. Okay, so it used to be that it would always just run at a set speed, and then maybe you could overclock it a bit, and it would run at that overclock set speed. But then now you have all sorts of advanced features in your CPUs, and the more you can cool your CPU, the better performance you'll get from it. Up to a certain limit, of course. It's not gonna, you won't be able to buy a 12400 and it'll be able to run like a 12900 in terms of speeds, but it does mean that you'll get more performance the more cooling you have. So it's always good if you can to upgrade your CPU cooler at the very least to something like this over the regular one that comes in the box. So now we're just going to have a little look at what we need here. So we've got one that says Intel 1200. We don't need that. This one should be Intel 1700. Perfect. This one is going to go, so we've got some little pads for sticking this on. I'm going to go a bit more, I'm going to go close up here, I think. Can you see that? Yeah, nice. Okay. We're just going to, we've got some sticky pads here. Get those off. And what happens then is we just get this back plate, which you can see here, and this goes underneath the motherboard here through these holes. So we just put that in, and then it will just stick itself to the back plate. The back plate will stick itself to the motherboard, which is what we're looking for. We'll put it back on here. And then we need to find the right mounting screws. Now, usually they're pretty standard. They're all should have one set for Intel and one set for AMD. Now I can't actually remember which is which, so I'm going to do something that I don't often have to do, which is take a look at the manual for this. So Intel LGA 1700, and we need part number G, which I think is those orange ones. G. Okay, it actually says 1700 on the top of them. That's very handy. Nope, not those then. $1,700. Okay, so this is our Intel bag. Okay, so let's just put our bits aside here. So we should be looking for 4 of these that say 1700 on them. Not that one. And then we want some screws. Now we take the. Now it is always best to look at the manual for the cooler, because every single cooler has a different mounting mechanism. So, and it's vital that you get it right, because what you're looking for is you've got under here. I'll show you. Let's just remove this sticker first. What you've got under here is an extremely flat surface that is just perfectly flat, basically. And what we're looking for is we're looking to, just got a little bit of sticky tape left behind on that. And what we need is a perfectly flat mount for this to be touching the CPU perfectly flat. Now, because each cooler, like literally every single cooler, has almost its own mounting mechanism, we need to make sure that we do that correctly. So it wants us to put the G's down on the top of there, and then it wants to put the bracket and then the screws through, and then that's it. Okay, cool. So we just place these like so. You guys see that okay? Yeah, I think you can. Oh, looks like we've got another viewer in the chat as well. Thank you so much for joining, whoever you are. feel free to say hi, feel free to ask any questions. Let's see which way this bracket goes around. It goes, should be this way with the bracket going side to side. Yes. Like so. Let's put these through. Let's drop these screws in. Sorry, I keep doing things off camera. I realise that you're not seeing that. So we just drop these in like so. And then we let's use the other screw. How's things going, Tim? Are you still able to, is Felix still able to see and hear the stream, even though he can't talk yet? I'm happy to kind of take a little break, or if you need any help, I can probably help. Let me know what's happening and we'll figure something out. Okay. Just going to get these. There we go. Get these down onto the plate. Okay, I'm going for it. Thanks, Tim. Did Felix say anything about the games that he plays? I'm interested to know what he's looking at playing. And do we have any other gamers in the stream? We've got a couple of extra people as well. Any other gamers there? Andrew, you still here? And I know you're not much of a gamer these days, but I remember our old days playing on your 3DO in your bedroom, playing Turbo on Need for Speed, and what was that other one with the little tanks and the helicopters and things that you fly around and you have to deliver the mines, and I can't remember what it was called. That was fun times. Oh yes, so Felix loves to play Roblox. Oh, and he wants to learn to do some coding for Roblox as well. That's brilliant. Okay, so yeah, what I understand from Roblox is it's kind of like a sandbox game similar to Minecraft, but you make games inside Roblox, so it's like lots of different games inside the games. Is that right? I mean, that's kind of what I think, but you can probably tell me I'm completely wrong there. So we've got one of these brilliant cooling solutions here, which is, yeah, okay, there we go. Right, so we're going to get our, can you guys see this okay? We're just going to put some thermal solution on here, and get a bit of plastic out of the way. Felix says kind of, yeah. Okay, so is that like the way an old dude would describe what Roblox is, but not necessarily what it actually is? It's like my version of what I was about to reference a meme there that I can't even remember really. So I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Right, so I'm just getting some thermal solution on here. There we go. And as you can see, we've got a reasonable amount of thermal solution on there. You're just looking for a few little blobs. You know, nothing more than a large P is typically what we're looking for. Okay, so now we just need to get our cooler on. Now, I always forget which way round Deep Cool want you to install this, because their logo is I think that's a D and then the C, right? So let's double check the logo, D and the C. There we go. You can install this either way around, to be honest. It's it makes no difference, but I guess it just looks a bit nicer if the logo is correct. Okay. Now we're just going to do this up, and we're going to do an application from each side. Well, we're going to just do up each side a little bit until we should get to a stop, you know, a hard stop. But we want to make sure that the pressure is even on either side, you know. Okay. So, Felix, do you have an idea of what kind of game you want to create inside Roblox? Have you got your masterpiece inside your head, waiting to make it? I think I played a little game of Roblox with my niece. Something about families, and we drove around in a car, and I think I played a little baby or something, and my niece, who's about 13, she was my mum, and she just dropped me off at the store, and I don't know, it was totally weird. Right, let's just, for the moment, we'll plug this in at what we think is a reasonable place, which will be up here. We'll figure out most of the details with the wiring a bit later. But for right now, we're just going to do the main bits. Okay, so Felix hasn't got an idea fully formed in his mind for his Roblox game, but I bet it's going to be great when you've done it. Hopefully, once you've finished making your masterpiece, Felix, you can tell me what it's called and how to find it, and I'll give it a go. I'm always up for trying some new games. Right. So that's our cooler, that's our RAM, that's our SSD. Our motherboard is pretty much ready to go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get it into our case. So I'm just going to zoom back out of the overhead cam, because the case is going to take up quite a lot of space here. Can you guys still see okay? That's my keyboard, it's just sorry about that. Right, so yeah, our cooling solution is looking pretty nice there. It's really rigid onto our CPU. Let's just do a little bit of clearing up and put the extra bits back in here that we need. We'll keep those, because you may at one point want to change from, you may want to use this in a different PC maybe. You might want to use an AMD CPU, so we've got the AMD mounting bracketry there for you. And that'll be in the box and, you know, obviously ready for you to use. Along with all the other bits like the Wi-Fi antenna and everything else that you need. One sec. Just getting the thermal solution off my fingers. Right, so let's put this aside and let's take a look at our case. So our case is the what have we got there? Let's just put that front on properly. Just pops in. Our case is the Fractal Design Pop Air RGB, which, as I'm sure you'll agree, is a really cool looking case. I love it. This is not a mega expensive case. and for what you get, actually, I think this case is a huge bargain. It's got loads of nice features that you'll find on much more expensive cases, and mostly the fact that it's just really nicely made, really thick steel. The metal is really rigid, and it's got all sorts of nice things like cable channels to hide your cables and to be able to make it look a nice clean build, and to make it easy to build in as well. So yeah, I really like this. There's a few cases on the market that I really appreciate. I'm a big Lian Li fan, but recently I've become much more of a fan, or as much of a fan, with Fractal as well. So I'm really pleased to build in these. And this is one of our main cases that we'll be using with most of our entry to medium builds. So, okay. And I love the colours as well. There's not many PC cases that allow you to change and choose so many colours. So you have this nice blue, or teal as I think it's called. You've got an orange, there's a lime, there's all sorts of really cool colours. I like it a lot. Right, so first thing we want to do is get our motherboard into our PC, into our case. In fact, firstly, I want to find, there should be a little bag or box somewhere with the extras that we need. So, here we go. Right. Just going to take off the rear panel as well. Here we go. So we've got a little bag here full of all of our screws and motherboard standoffs and all the things that we need to build inside it. I'll show you the back as well while I'm here. There you go. That's the rear, and you can see that all of the cables are all nicely routed already, which is really cool. That makes it easy for someone like me. It means that you don't have to spend loads and loads of time doing cable management, which in my business I can tell you now is a massive plus. Okay. Just trying to get all the cables so they're not fouling on the side there. There we go. How's that? Yeah, that looks okay. Everyone doing all right? Tim and Felix, have you had a nice day? Felix, I guess you were at school today. Was school fun? Did you learn anything interesting? Right, so we got all sorts of packs of screws. What I'm looking for first is, we don't seem to have any spare motherboard standoffs. That's interesting. That might mean that we need to repurpose the ones that we've got, because we need to change them from an ATX to micro ATX. Unless I've got spares. I've probably got spares. Let's have a look. That way we can just keep them in place. Yeah. Got some spare ones. Okay, so I think it's going to be this one here. Silence from him on that question. Brilliant. I saw a funny thing the other day related to that, Tim, which was someone posted on Reddit or Twitter that they asked their kid, who was about 12 or 13, what they did at school today, and they said, nothing really. And then later that evening they were browsing Twitter or Reddit or wherever, and they saw a picture of that kid holding a massive snake at school, and you know the zoo had brought in animals, and yeah, nothing really. Didn't really do anything interesting. Just held a massive snake, you know, normal things. Is that your usual response from, no, I didn't really do much? Okay. So we're just going to put both these new standoffs in here, and that means we've got everything in place. Right. I'm looking for one little piece here, which is our motherboard dust cover. Just going to snap this in place. Let's look and make sure, yep, that's right. Sorry if you guys can't see this. I'm just pushes into place here so that you've got a dust cover from your I/O, your input output on the side here. Okay, and that should line up nicely when we put it in. Yep, that looks to be lined up with all the screws, and it's lined up with the shield we've just put in place. Cool, right. So let's just get this in. We're looking for this one. Okay. Now there's about 9 screws we just have to put in here, and this is just so that we can secure our motherboard to the chassis, the case. And you probably didn't see it well enough, but there's let me go a bit further forward. There's what are called standoffs. So they're little metal things that hold the motherboard about a centimetre above the case, so that none of the motherboard is touching the case, and it's only and the only bits of metal are touching of the screws, and that means that you're not going to get any kind of short circuit from any of the motherboard touching other metal bits, which is what we're looking for. So Felix, how do you code a Roblox game? Do you know how to do this already? Are you planning to learn? Or is it something that's easy to do? I don't know about this. It sounds really interesting though. And is this what you want to do when you're older, Felix? Do you want to make games when you're older? That would be a cool job, huh? Imagine making computer games and you can just spend the day making your games, testing them, maybe just playing other games as well. That'd be great, wouldn't it? I'd love that. But to be fair, I'm also doing something that is great. I mean, I get to build PCs. So if you... Oh, is that you then, Felix? Devious Cat. He's in. Amazing. I'm about halfway through learning. Okay, you're thinking about it. So you're not definitely decided yet. I suppose if it's, since you're only, what did you say, 11? Was it 11 or 12? Oh, God, I can't remember. That's what happens to your memory when you get older, Felix. You just forget things. So you're thinking about it. All right. Have you got any other things? Oh, your sister's account. That's cool. Okay, well, that's nice of your sister to loan you the account so you can chat to me. I was starting to get a bit lonely, Felix, so I'm glad you're able to talk to me now. Right. So now our motherboard is secure. What we want to do now is to get our power supply in place. So let's do this. And then our power supply just goes in the back here. So so if you didn't become someone that makes games when you're older, Felix, do you have any other ideas of what you'd like to do as a job when you get a bit older? Whoops. Right. Let's move this out of the way. Yes, so if you don't become a game designer, Felix, is there something else you'd like to do? What do kids want to do as jobs these days? Probably become famous YouTubers. Like, I don't know. I think the most famous YouTuber I watch is Linus Tech Tips. I only really watch tech stuff, so I don't really know. Oh, Mr. Beast. Yeah, I know Mr. Beast. I've watched Mr. Beast's videos. He's great, isn't he? Ah, the one that he did just a little while ago, where he created water wells in Africa. Ah, what a guy! And then another one, he helped people to get their sight back if they were blind. Wowza! Imagine being able to do such amazing things to help people and have such a cool job like doing it all on YouTube. Felix says, possibly try to be a zookeeper. Oh wow, that's awesome, Felix. I take it you like animals then. Do you have any pets? Do you have a dog or a cat, or many dogs or many cats? Some guinea pigs? Some gerbils, maybe? What do you have? Right, I'm just gonna install the power supply now. So we will just get this in place. Let's do another little There we go. Ah, what's your cat's name, Felix? Is it a cute cat? And how old is your cat? Okay, so power supply. Just need to get one of these little screws in place, and hopefully that will hold them in for the rest of them. Brilliant, there's one. And there's the other, okay. So do you like other animals as well, Felix? If you want to be a zookeeper, do you want to maybe look after the lions and tigers, that kind of thing? Or the reptiles, the snakes? That's what my dad did. So my mum and dad, they met at what is now Legoland, but used to be Windsor Safari Park. And my dad was the reptile housekeeper, and my mum worked on, I think, the stalls, like the games where you throw basketballs and things, and that's where they met. And yeah, my dad, he had snakes and lizards and spiders. I don't like spiders, but apparently when I was younger, he used to have these massive spiders in the house, and yeah, didn't like that one bit probably. Okay, so that's our power supply in place. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just route our main cables to the place where we need them. So right now we're going to do the main 24-pin motherboard just through there. We're going to do our CPU cables, and these are usually, you can see here, they usually have the thing on them. They just say what they're for. So we've got graphics card, CPU, graphics card. Okay. So this one wants to come up here and go through there because that's where our CPU power lives. Okay, and then for the moment we're just going to, I think, just hide the rest of these down here. We will need those, but we'll just hide them in here for the moment so they don't get in the way. Okay. And then these are all our cables that we need for the front panel. So where you've got your power and your USB and your audio. So we're going to put these through as well. This one I think wants to go about here. This one we're just going to keep here for a moment because that's for our fan header up here. And that's for our power switch. I think that one wants to go through there. Double check. And then our front audio, so that wants to go on the left side, so I think best place for that is down on the opposite side. It's a bit of a faff this sometimes, but once you get used to it, it becomes a bit easier. I'm just going to get some water. Oh, sorry about the glugging noises. Hope you didn't hear that too much. Okay. Let's just... What's your cat called, Felix, by the way? All right. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to... No, I'm going to do this. And we're going to find the places for those cables to go. Okay, so first one, the most important one, is the 24-pin motherboard. Not really big, thick cable, and we just need to make sure that that's in nice and secure. Then we want our CPU, so I'm just going to turn this around a bit. Our CPU just goes in the top here now. So this is going to be a bit fiddly. So I'm just going to play around with this a little bit. Sometimes you might want to do this before you put the motherboard in. Usually when you've got a really, really big CPU cooler, you want to do that. This one's just medium size, so it should be okay. I've got one of them in. It's just a little bit fiddly. You need small hands to be able to do this. There we go. Right. Always make sure they're right in. And because we don't want to have any issues where that comes loose, because that's your power going to your CPU and your motherboard there. Right, next ones is we're looking for... So we've got our power switch. Now you can't see here because it's just really tiny, but we basically have a power switch that just, there's some pins here and you just plug those in. And then we have our USB. So I'm just going to put that in here. Okay. All right. That's most of the things. There we go. Now we just take a little look at it and say, yeah, looks pretty clean, looks okay. Now we want to have a look at the fans. So hopefully you can see a little bit here. I'll try and do it around this way. So what we've got is our fans all... Do we have... No, we don't have a fan controller on here, which means we're going to have to just plug our fans into the main board. Okay, so let's see the best way of doing this. Okay, so I'm just going to... So, annoyingly, manufacturers of fans, especially RGB fans, they don't really stick to a standard. So they're often just different. Every single one can be different, and that is, I can tell you now, a bit of a pain. It looks like here though, what we can do is, I don't know if you can see this, but we can daisy chain these. So this is good. All right, so we're going to plug one in, and then the rest are going to be daisy chained, which is real nice. So we've got, let's see what we've got. Okay, so we've got two up here. So I'm just going to undo this so that we can see what we've got, and just pick apart our fan cables. Now this cable here is going to where? All right, that's an LED. So we want to, we've got a little thing here for a nice little LED on your power button. Right, so we need to figure out which fan is going to plug into the motherboard header for the RGB, and then we'll daisy chain them from there. So I'm just looking for the best place to plug that in. That's probably going to be down at the bottom here. Okay, so we can come up through one of those, and let's see, we need to, let's see if we've got one at the top. That'd be better. Have we got one at the top? I don't think we do, guys. No. So one of these cables is going to have to come out of here, so we've got a lot more room. Okay, let's do this. Now this is the hard part of building a PC, is all of the cabling. And like I said earlier, almost every manufacturer uses a different way of doing it, which is just a real pain, real pain. Okay, so we've got RGB and RGB, and we've got, so let's do the RGB first. Might even have to undo this last one as well. Okay, I'm just undoing all of their hard work now. That's okay. Okay, so that's that cable. What's this one? Okay, that's our power switch. And then we want to take one of these, which is the first RGB cable, and we're just going to run it under here. This is where things get a little bit messy, usually. So I'm hoping this is going to fit up. Yes, here we go. Right, so into the RGB socket. Great, and now we take the extra one that it has there, and then we plug the other one into it. So we do a daisy chain, basically. It's kind of hard to do this when I'm looking at you guys, so I'm really sorry about that, but this is just a part where I just need to kind of get stuck in, you know. Okay, right, so now this one is here, and then lastly we want to run this one down. Oh, no, wrong one. Right, so we've got all three RGB cables daisy chained together. Now we just need to do the same for the PWMs, which is the fan power. So now I'm going to find an appropriate socket again. So let's see, we've got system fan up there, system fan here. This could be a good one. So I'm going to take this one here. Where's the other one gone? Right, so this one's going to go through. I'm going to connect it to the fan header. Oh god, this is just Alright, and then we're going to connect the other one into the back of it, and we're daisy chaining, and then the third one is going to connect again. So that's our PWM fans, daisy chained. Alright, okay, so I think now we're going to do a little test boot and just make sure that everything turns on. Power cable. Oh, there was a little flicker there. Everything's still good? Yeah, looks like it. Okay. Oh no.